everyone, and welcome to In the Studio. I'm Lynn Weaver, and the show is brought to you by Davis Media Access and broadcasts on Davis Community Television, that's Comcast Channel 15 and AT&T UVerse Menu 99. We're also online at dctv.davismedia.org. Today, I'm joined by a Davis naturalist who, in his own words, loves to pursue birds of every shape, size and color, no matter where they may be. He's also a bird expert extraordinaire, a tour guide and a fundraiser for the Yolo Basin Foundation. His name is Terry Colburn, and welcome to the program, Terry.
Well, thank you, Lynn.
Now, my first question will be, tell us your story.
No. Well, we only have a half hour, right?
I'll give you about 5 minutes.
Well, thank you for those kind words, and thanks for the invitation to be here today.
You're very welcome.
I became interested in wildlife and in birds in particular when I was just a kid growing up in New Jersey. I recall the first time I looked out my bedroom window in the wintertime and saw a blue jay on the snow. And I was quite taken aback by this beautiful little bird. I'm sure I'd seen them before, but I really looked at this bird. And I thought, well, I'll go throw some breadcrumbs out there and see what happens, which I did. And lo and behold, more birds came, some cardinals and some chickadees and the like. And I was just fascinated by the fact that these birds would come into, my backyard. And as I grew up, I spent a lot of time out in the woods, like young boys will do, just knocking around. I was very interested in reptiles and amphibians as well, but birds are everywhere. And I just had an opportunity to travel now and see there are birds in different areas. I migrated myself, if you will, from New Jersey to California to go to college. And when I got out here, there was a whole new suite of birds to enjoy.
That were unknown to you, actually.
They were totally unknown to me, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So I took up to the field and joined the various Audubon groups and the like, and never looked back.
Well, it's a wonderful story, and it's interesting that you were also taken by reptiles, because, of course, I think birds descend from reptiles, or so they say.
We
yes.
say that birds are just reptiles with wings.
That's right, yes. Well, we're going to talk a little more in detail about birds with you, and also your fundraising work for the Yolo Basin Foundation, and some of your field trips that you do. But before we do that, I was really taken by your website. I thought it was a very nicely done website, and so let's take a look at it. And it's a bit difficult to see in detail, but we can certainly see a picture of you, which is very interesting. And also, it's a wealth of information about birds and the life of birds and events and lots of other fascinating little stories about birds. We're going to show what I wanted to do is show a clip of a seahawk fishing. But before we do that, is there anything you'd like to say, to comment about your website?
Well, thank you. Thank you for your kind remarks about it.
I love the color, by the way, even though it's not blue.
all thanks really go to my webmaster, Crilly Butler, who lives here in Davis.
Good.
I wouldn't know the first thing about putting a website together, other than it's a good idea to have one if you're going to get your message out to the public.
Right.
On the website, I have lots of information for beginning birders, for advanced birders, people who are interested in buying optics. There's some information on how to select optics, some links to other sources. I have a calendar on there of field trips I lead, as well as tours that I put together. So I would invite people to go there. You can also, too, go on the website and actually sign up for an early bird notification or a priority mailing list, if you will. When a new tour comes out or a new field trip, I'll send that information out to those members on that priority mailing list so they get first shot at it.
Yes. Well, I enjoyed reviewing this website, and there is one particular example. I would like to share two examples with our viewers. One is the first clip, and this is the Osprey, which is commonly known as a hawk, a fish hawk. And this is a very nice clip that let's focus it. It's going to come. Basically, tell us a little about the osprey and what you know about this bird. Is it a Pacific, an Atlantic bird, or is it a marsh bird?
Seahawks, osprey, which is also called a seahawk. Ospreys range throughout the United States. They don't winter here, although, having said that, I just saw one 2 days ago in Sonoma County. Typically, they'll nest here.
Yes.
We have them out at along Puda Creek.
Yes.
Lake Solano.
Yes. And how big are they?
They're actually quite big. They're much bigger than a red-tailed hawk, which most people are familiar with. That's a very common raptor that we see right around Yolo County.
Yes.
They feed chiefly on fish.
Yes.
And one of the really unique things I think about the osprey is the fact that when it does catch a fish, it always flies with the fish headfirst into the wind, so it's more aerodynamic.
Oh, and it's incredibly strong, isn't
Very
it?
strong.
Yes, and here we go. There's our visual here. Can you describe what we see, Terry?
There's the osprey. It's right now in hunting mode. It can actually see the glint of a fish from 100 feet above the water's
Fabulous,
surface.
yes.
And at a certain point in time, when it feels it's ready, it will drop down and snag the fish in its talons, as you see here.
Yes.
And take the prey off and eat it, or take it to the nest and give it to the female, and she'll feed it to the young.
Yes.
It's quite
so it's a
fascinating.
predator.
It is a predator.
But it only it only catches fish, not
Only fish.
Not mice or baby.
Not to my knowledge.
Not
it's
to your
chiefly
knowledge.
adapted for fishing.
Yes.
And they're very, very good.
Yes. Well, I mentioned that I wanted to show two examples. This is not a clip, but it's a link, and when you go to Terry's website, you'll be able to see it. And it's a very interesting, humorous link about a paranoid duck.
Oh, sure.
And if we could have the visual of the paranoid duck, that would be very useful. Can you tell us this story? Obviously it's a joke, but I found it extremely interesting.
Let's let our viewers take a look at it, and we can walk them through.
That's right. Well, we're waiting for the visual, but basically this is the story of a duck who is obsessed with the CIA, and the CIA wanting to kill all the bird population in the United States, right? And so, as I said, here it is. It doesn't look very paranoid to me. It's beautiful, though. And so if you go to the website, you can read the whole story, which is really hilarious.
And this is a mallard duck, of course.
It's a mallard duck. And of course, having lived in Boston for such a long time, I used to read to my children the Make Way for Ducklings, which is the famous story about the Boston Commons and the ducklings crossing the street, Beacon Hill Street. So Beacon Street rather. So this is about the website, which is great. Now. Tell me a little more about your field trips. How do you start? How do you gather? Where do you get the ideas? Something to give our viewers a sense of what you do.
Well, field trips are designed according to the year. This time of the year, of course, we have a tremendous number of waterfowl right here in Yolo County. So we'll go out and look for them. In the springtime, we might look for neotropical migrants. These are birds, warblers, tanagers, and the like that are traveling from South America, Mexico, to the U.S. Some will nest here, some will continue on to Canada. So we try to time our field trips accordingly so that we're on territory
Yes.
to watch these. Another great trip is to go see the sandhill cranes, just down in Lodi.
In Lodi, yes. And why is that important?
Well, it's quite a sight to behold.
Yes.
We oftentimes will find ourselves down there at the end of the day and experience what we call the fly-in,
Yes.
where there are literally thousands of sandhill cranes that will come into these wetlands to roost at night. Unlike herons and egrets that can roost in trees, the sandhill crane does not have a rear toe, so it cannot perch.
Oh.
So they go to wetlands
Yes.
for protection against predators.
They go under the bushes.
Well, not so much in the bushes, but just out into the wetlands where a coyote or another predator is not going to pursue them. So field trips are done accordingly. Where we go where the birds are.
How long will these do these trips last?
Typically, my field trips are all day.
All day,
starting
yes.
at 7 o'clock in the morning, give or take, and coming back at the end of the day.
It sounds like a wonderful thing to do.
It keeps you out of trouble. It keeps me out of trouble anyhow. We spend a lot of time out in the field.
Yes.
Now that I'm retired, I'm out probably 3 or 4 or 5 times a week.
You were out this morning as well.
I've been out
Yes.
this morning leading
Yes.
a field trip.
Another thing that caught my eye, on your website, was there is a link there about the sighting of an extraordinarily rare bird for these parts, and that was very interesting. I don't remember the details, but if you go onto the website, you will find that. And I think there's an interview with the president of the Bird Association.
American
the American
Association.
Yes.
Association, yes.
Yes. Terry, you're also a fundraiser for the YOLO Basing Foundation, and actually there are events coming up in February, because believe it or not, February, I learned, is duck month.
Well,
Yes, and there are a lot of ducks here. So how can one keep abreast of these events?
I'm actually a member of the board of directors of the Yellow Basin Foundation.
Okay, right.
And of course, as a board member, we're all fundraisers.
Yes, that's your reward for going on the board, right?
Yes. People can go to the website, yellowbasin.org, and learn about Duck Days, which is coming up in just about a month now. The latter part of February, about 21st, 22nd in there. There are some great opportunities for families. Bring your kids out to experience the various activities, including wood carving. There's fishing for fish, and many tours.
Interesting.
Excuse me, I have an all-day tour that day where we're going to see as many birds as we can.
Yes.
Starting at 7 in the morning and probably going until sunset.
Yes.
But there are many other field trips as well.
And when you see these birds, do you record them? Do you photograph them? Do you catalog them? What do you do?
Well,
Or you just
that's a great
look
question.
at them?
Yeah. Why are we doing this?
Yes, why?
Well, we're doing it basically to see what's where.
Yes.
Some people come along and bring cameras and capture some great images.
Yes.
But to answer the other part of your question, we do track what we see.
Yes.
We do keep track of a checklist.
Yes.
There's also a wonderful kind of an international means by which birds can track information that's called eBird.
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 Interesting.
Yeah. eBird.
eBird.com? Or
You can just, well, if you just Google eBird,
eBird.
it'll come up, and there's a means by which you can put your daily sightings into a list in a data bank. And if I wanted to go to a particular area, if I were going to, say, Florida, and I wanted to see what the latest birds have been seen by the birders, I could just click on that and
Wonderful.
pick a species and so forth.
Wonderful.
It's pretty fascinating.
What would we do without the web?
I
It's
often
amazing.
wonder what we did without our apps on our iPhones. They could call birds before we had these things. So it's pretty fascinating.
So it is a learning and a research experience as well, which is interesting. If you were to choose the region that most fascinated you in the course of your career, and an observer of birds and a naturalist, what would you say?
Well, I'd say of the places I've been, because I've still got a lot of places to go.
And places you'd like to go.
Places I could go. I would say there are two areas that come to mind immediately. One is for springtime birding. Nothing is better, in my opinion, than going to the Ohio Valley. People say, Ohio?
Yeah.
Ohio. Ohio is blessed because it's the confluence of 3 different flyways. And in the springtime, in about early May, literally thousands of warblers and tanagers and vireos are concentrated in an area known as McGee Marsh. And birds can go there, and they do go there also by the thousands.
In the spring?
In the springtime.
On their way somewhere else?
They're going to their nesting grounds, some in Canada, some right there in Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin. And you can observe these birds at close range. And again, there are many, many, many of them. It's quite fascinating.
And this is the McGee
Marsh.
McGee Marsh.
McGee Marsh in
Ohio.
In Ohio. It's right on Lake Erie.
On Lake Erie.
For the fall, nothing, in my opinion, beats going to Cape May, New Jersey. I grew up in New Jersey, so I'm partial to that.
Yes, but you know it's the best as well.
It is the best in terms of raptor migration as well as passerines, which are
what are
warblers.
raptors? Sorry.
Raptors.
Raptors.
Hawks
Sorry,
and the
I misunderstood you. Yes, raptors.
Raptors, and then of course passerines, which are songbirds, vireos, tanagers, warblers, and the like. Literally, there are thousands that come through there. You go in from the middle of September till really the middle of November. There's nothing quite like it. To go there and see, 4, 5, 6, 7, 800 hawks in a day is
fabulous.
It is fabulous.
Fabulous, yes. Yes.
It's very rewarding to do that.
And where would you like to go?
Well, I have a bucket list like everybody.
Yes.
And
do you have pins on the map?
Well, I've been there on a map in my head. I've been to a number of countries in Central and South America. I'm going to Africa next year.
Oh, lovely.
There's no end in sight in terms of where you can go. I mean, you can spend a lifetime doing this if you have the time and the means by which to do it. I would say that Brazil in South America and Ecuador both are absolutely splendid places for birds to consider going. Closer would be Central America, Panama, and Costa Rica. And then to north of us, Canada, to the south, Mexico. Many, many great birds there. And again, you can go when the weather is more...
a little warmer.
A little warmer, a little
Especially
easier
now.
to...
Yes. Well, birds are everywhere, obviously. And
birds are everywhere.
Yes, and we would spend hours talking about the various classification of birds and the sizes, and as you said, every shape and size wherever they are. But I wanted to ask you something that has always intrigued me. There have been studies. I mean, I'm fascinated by bird songs. Because that's their language, and it's very varied apparently. And there have been studies who have done, including at MIT, and there is a book on your website about that, that have done some scientific research about the fact that possibly or probably the song of birds as well as the sounds of primates and other animals have contributed to the evolution of human language. Now, this is fascinating because we don't really know, because the way I understand it, the human brain, we don't know where language, it's diffuse.
Right.
We don't know exactly where it is. But for birds, we know that some birds have a spot in their brain that indicates that they have a special type of song that is very varied and very discreet. Now,
Very true.
do you do you like bird songs?
Oh, sure, to be sure. You know, there's, speaking of that, it brings to my mind the opportunity that one can have by going out at dawn and listening to what we call the dawn chorus. And we know that birds sing, particularly in the springtime, chiefly in the morning. They're setting up their territories, they're establishing territory, and they're defending their territories.
And they're courting as well.
And they're courting as well.
Yes, yes.
And there is nothing quite like being out on a spring morning at daybreak and just listening to the cacophony of sound, if you will. And for a birder, trying to sort out,
Yes.
you know, who's there.
Who is saying what?
Who is saying what. And you can actually, you know, with time and some study, you can actually determine who's present in your local park or your backyard or in a park that you might be visiting, a national park. I think, too, if you ever have an opportunity to go out and hear a wood thrush.
Yes.
The thrush in general are just...
I have heard it. It's
have?
very interesting. Yes.
It's
Very, very interesting. But it's very difficult to determine where it's coming from and what it's... I mean, to me, I know nothing about birds, of course. But
actually, I think you know more than you think you do. You're quite well versed.
I like to dream. So it would be very interesting to find out whether indeed our human language has evolved from that. It's probably a combination of so many factors, but it's another reason perhaps for studying birds and taping birds. Actually, there are quite a lot of experts at UC Davis studying birds.
Yeah, we're very fortunate to have the expertise of many great scientists.
Great scientists here, yes. I believe there's an emeritus professor who is British and who has studied birds. Unfortunately, I don't remember his name. Songs in birds, yes.
Something that comes to my mind relative to bird songs and calls in general. People ask me, well, how do you learn these calls?
Yes.
And it is a lifelong pursuit. What I've done is, back in, way I'll date myself here, I had albums.
We're all dated.
Some listeners go, album? What's an album, you know? But at any rate, we had albums, and we would play these albums over and over, and then we would record onto a cassette player, and then take that out into the field and try to imitate.
And compare or imitate.
Well, imitate,
Yes.
and then, you know,
Yes.
and the like. But I would also then, now I have in my vehicle, I have CDs of bird calls in North America or the Sierra or California, and I listen to them over and over and over. So it's a lot of like learning a language.
Of course.
It's repetitive.
Yes.
Over
a lot
and
of
over.
patience.
A lot of patience. But in time, you know, you can sort them out. And if you're in, as I was saying, in a dawn chorus situation, and you're hearing all these calls, you know, with practice, you can start picking out
Yes.
various species.
Yes.
That's very gratifying.
It is, it is. Well, there's one that I think everybody knows. It's the dove, I think, which is...
The mourning dove?
Yes, the mourning dove. We are coming to the end of our interview. Unfortunately, I could go on forever. But very briefly, a philosophical question to conclude. And that is, in the grand scheme of all creations, what is the most important role of birds? I hope you don't think it's a trick question.
No, it's probably not a trick question. Well,
what do? They sing, they fish, they have beautiful colors.
No, they also disperse seed.
Oh, yeah, yes.
Think about that. Control insect and rodent populations.
Yes.
You know, without owls and raptors, hawks and the like, many rodent species would run amok.
That's right.
And,
That's right.
we also know too that when there is a reduction of those raptors, those predators,
Yes.
there's an imbalance that's created. So yeah, they play a vital role in that
Yeah.
respect.
Good answer. And also they're a thing of beauty, right?
Oh, to be sure.
Like Keats, a thing of beauty is a joy forever.
To be sure.
I'm afraid, thank you so much for coming. I'm afraid we have to wrap it up. Again, for more, go to the website, tlcbirding.com. Thank you so much, Terry.
It's been a
And
pleasure.
thank you so much, all of you, for watching. If you'd like to see this program again, you can go to our website, dctv.davismedia.org, and while you're there, you can take a look at some of our other programs. Thank you so much for watching. You've been watching in the studio. From all of us here at Davis Media, thank you, and see you next time.